Welcome back to Warren Prints. I'd like to thank you so much for coming back after seeing my last video. The reason why I did that without really looking into it too much is I wanted to show how accessible these machines really are to everybody. I knew nothing about 3D printing. Like I said, I knew very little. I'd seen some YouTube videos, I had heard some people talk about it, and I had a part that I sent out for a quote and got 3D printed. But that's all the experience I had. I never had hands on a printer before. And so I was able to unbox it, get it started, make a print, make my little Pac-Man that you saw there. And that was really exciting for me. Now, since then, I have been able to go forward and make some parts and continue to print some things. And I have learned quite a bit about the 3D printers. I am by no means an expert yet, but now I actually know enough to give you a little bit of advice if you're starting out. The first thing I want to address is my bed leveling. Yes, I know what I did was ridiculous, but there is a little bit of truth there in what I did, and I will show you how that can actually apply to being helpful in your printer. So that's the first thing we're going to look at. Okay, so leveling your printer. It is different than leveling your print bed, and there is some advantages to it. One thing I did have to do with building my print area out here is level my table, because it actually was really out of level. And so to help me out, so I did get a better level. It's still not very expensive, but I didn't need something super accurate. And what I did is I just made sure that my table was level to start with. And then what I did is I did actually level the printer. And the whole idea here is that if you start with a level machine, everything you do after that is going to be easier. I do have a millwright ticket. That is what I do professionally. I am a millwright. And we always make sure our machines are level. It makes things run better. It makes it easier for lining up. It's just a great way to start. And so that's essentially what I was trying to do in my first video, and I didn't know what was going on. But if you make sure you get your printer leveled to begin with, then you can actually have better prints because your material isn't going to be fighting against gravity. It's going to be nice and even. You're not going to be printing on an angle. Obviously that's exaggerated. So what I did is I used the level just to check the main bars on my X and Y axes on my machine. And that way I could confirm if my printer frame itself was level or not. And once I knew that my printer was level, then I went ahead and I started to level the bed. So one thing that I've learned through my testing that I've done with my printer so far is that when you go to different temperatures, your zero on your bed actually does change just a little bit. And so my suggestion is that you have your bed and everything preheated when you go to do your test, when you go to do your bed leveling. And what this will do is it'll make sure all the expansion has happened and everything's all happy and equalized, so that when you go to print at that temperature, it's actually exactly where you want it to be. And then again, if you're going, if you're doing a big difference like from PLA to ABS, I did find that I did have to tweak the bed just a little bit. And later on, I'll show you a way how you can tweak your bed while you're starting your run so that you don't have to go through this whole process again. It's, I call it a live leveling, and we'll see if that's an actual thing or not. So, first thing I did is I have it preheated to bring everything up to temperature like I said. And now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the tools and down to Bed Leveling Wizard. And what that's going to do is it's going to move my X and Y axes to a series of points where I can test to see if everything's working out okay. So we're going to use a piece of paper as our shim. If you want to go more accurate, it's best to use some shim stock if you have some. I do have some metric shim stock that would work really well, but I just haven't had that many issues with it because I've been tweaking it kind of as I go. So this is a good way just to get everything level. And keep in mind, you're not leveling your bed, okay? You're not making sure you're level with gravity when you go to level your bed. You're making sure that your bed is level with your printer, okay? So if you have a bit of sag or a bit of warp in your printer, or if your printer's on an angle, like I said before, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to match the two up to the same so that when it moves and it lays out some material, it actually is laying down a nice smooth line. So let's have a look at this and try to level out the bed to the printer. All right. Here we go. We're going to do this now. So let's start closing up. So I'm going to take one here. And I don't get anything right there, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the next one. All the way around the edge. I don't take slots. So next one. My next is to move to the next slot, and we can do another test. See there? I can actually feel the wheel on the paper. So now the next one. Make sure the paper comes down. And again, I don't feel anything on the paper. One more time. This is my final feel tricky. That was really hard. Everybody gets there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see where the thing is. So now I'm going to bend the bed on the rest. I'm going to adjust it. There are the spring screws underneath, and that's how we're going to adjust it. We're going to take that down a bit so it pulls the bed away from the nozzle until I start to have a light thread on the paper. Oh, I'm not so loose one. I was on my clip. There's no way I'm going to make sure you're clipped out of the way. I'm going to do this. Right, now let's see how this works. Okay, so now let's bring this up so I can just barely feel it. So again, I'm loosening off that spring screw in order to bring the head up to the nozzle. So now we can know where the points are. That's the beginning. Now if we go here, we were right below. So still looks good. So I'm going to loosen off this screw and let the head come up to the nozzle. Oh, there we go. Just let it touch. Okay, next please. Now as you move one screw, it may change your spots as well. Just because of how this all is connected. There we go, I just feel a touch. I didn't have to go too much. I have to move this touch. There we go. And hopefully this last one will be close. Now I have that clip out. I can adjust this one just a bit. Alright, so now let's confirm all this. Now back to the first one. And again, this is like 3D pin wizard. Oh, I'm actually going to just click the next one. You take the next spot. That's actually the next now. More or less. Next. Oh, now it's finished. So here's the time for it. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on machine control panel and go to dotting tools. And I'm going to move over to the middle of my bed. Okay, so I'm going to move over. That way, and now this way. And then what I'm going to do is you have the option to home each of the axes. So I'm just going to home the Z axis and make sure my center point is the same. Now, here is where I have a problem right now with mine. See, my outsides are all equal, but my middle point is actually quite tight. So I know at this level, but I have this bulk in it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust my height on my little lift switch here so that this is close to where I want it. Okay, so I have to lower my Z axis. I'm going to lower this little lift switch so it hits earlier. I don't know if you can see this, but I've actually written on here which way to turn to make the lift switch up because I can never remember. So we're just going to adjust a little bit, and I always bring it up. Okay, so if I'm going to adjust it down past where I'm going to bring it up, that way it always stays on the same side of the screws, on the same side of the thread. Makes it right. Now I'm going to home the Z axis again. That's quite tight. That's still tight. I can take it back in. So again, we will move that down. We will quarter turn. Bring the lift switch down, and now we'll home the Z. So that feels quite nice. I can probably even adjust it back a little bit. Because there are a little bit of rooms on the outside. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go half that up and home the Z again. Notice. So that's just a bit. So now let's talk about loading filament into your printer. It's not as big of an ordeal as I seem to make it out to be on my last video. It's actually quite simple. So you load up your spool, make sure it goes into your tube nicely and you're not coming back against the tube and doing a big bend. It kind of makes sense. Push it through your tube, bring it up through this Teflon sheath here, and then when you get into here, you are going to press the little lever and clip it into place. And what that's going to do is that's going to hold the gears off of your filament while you put it in there. So just push these two together, click them in, and then put your filament in. I am going to look into doing a couple tests now that we have the printer set up so that we can see how to best tune our printer. Of course, the most important one there is going to be our heat and how hot to print it at. Now, there are a couple different ways to test your temperature and to see how it works, but I didn't really see any good ways to make that information real. What I like to do and what I'm printing right now is printing out a temp tower. You can download it off Thingiverse and adjust it, and I'll go through that quickly. But after you print it, then what? How do you know which temperature is the best? So we'll review that a little bit, and plus we'll maybe do something else like a good old Bode or something. That seems to be the classic test tool. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, please hit the notification bell, and I will be coming back with another video shortly, I hope. Thank you very much. Bye.